Hi everyone, it's the Assyrian Priestess with you. I hope this finds you well. Today I'm doing a reading for the collective for the transit Lilith in Sagittarius. So the asteroid Dark Moon Lilith is moving, if she hasn't already, into the sign of Sag from Scorpio. And she's been placed in the sign of Scorpio for the last 9 months. Big theme on death and endings and renewal. Tower card coming out. So what is the reading for the collective? What can we expect for the transit Lilith in Sagittarius? The vibes I'm picking up is like the energy of no longer being afraid to speak up or speak out. So let's see what we have in store. First card out, the Queen of Arrows, the goddess Ishtar of Arbel. Second card out, the Tower, which is here represented by the Babylonian god Marduk and the primordial chaos goddess Tiamat. And the Chariot as the final card. So 2 major arcana. It's going to be a pretty big, intense transit, my friends. So how do I interpret this reading? Well, the Queen of Arrows and the goddess Ishtar gracing us ultimately points to the fact that your hard-won wisdom, your education, your experience, your knowledge, and your rational thought is going to direct itself towards something that may actually be destructive. And the Tower is often destruction for the right reasons. It's a clearing away energy. It can feel cataclysmic, undoubtedly. So some things that you may direct your attention towards that would look quote unquote destructive would be resigning from a job unexpectedly, or moving home quickly, or just making a decision that changes the nature of a foundation. So it could be anything from relationships to work. But as this is a reading for the collective, I'm wondering if it is actually people using their voices and their rational thought to actually try and shake some infrastructure foundations. Now, no doubt we're going to see this anyway. No doubt this is happening globally, literally everywhere by all sides of the agreement. But what are we doing with this energy and where are we going? That's the question. The Chariot. Here we have the Assyrian storm god Ardad holding a trident, wielding his will to move the forces forward into a direction he knows he must go. Now, one of the darker elements of this reading that I'm seeing is that there may actually be even greater schisms in gender disputes, in masculines and feminines actually trying to reckon with each other. And this is a kind of strange message that's coming through, but you can literally see 2 masculine energies attacking and destroying the feminine. And a lot has been written about and said about the myth of the destruction of the goddess Tiamat by Marduk. Now, this myth comes from the Enuma Elish. If you're interested in learning more about Babylonian cosmologies and sort of ancient Assyrian mythologies, please do join me on Patreon. The links are available if you want to dive deeper into the stories. But a lot of people have actually sort of tried to rewrite this, because on the surface it appears that the masculine is trying to destroy the primordial feminine, even though Tiamat is indestructible. She is the dark void, dark matter, and is therefore indestructible. But it did herald the rise of a new era in the pantheon of the gods. And we see this in ancient Greek mythology, which of course I am no expert in. I'm no expert in mythology generally. I'm just a seeker and a learner like you. But we see the primordial gods of Greece actually, overcome. I think it was the Titans overcoming the Gorgons. Correct me in the comments, folks. The same thing happens in Babylonian and Assyrian mythologies too, and it heralds the rise of a new era of empire building and, unfortunately, war. So Lilith in Sagittarius is going to be a bit rough. But it's going to be rough in the sense that we already know that what's going on is rough. What are we going to do about it as the Queen of Arrows? This is us. How are we going to respond, and what part will we take in the quote-unquote battle ahead? So let's ask the cards just to interpret a reflection of the energies. So just to remind you that tarot is not a divinatory practice in the sense that it is predicting an outcome. It is a divinatory practice in the sense that it really allows us to have a visual reflection of what we're going through so that we can better grapple with the narrative at hand and maybe rewrite it. Rewrite it in the sense not to, revise things or cover up things, but rewrite it in the sense of the kind of point of view that we choose to take rather than feeling like the world is happening to us and we're not actively participating in it. So, too many cards, but I see the Seven of Swords. Time to get strategic and time to maybe question allegiances. So what does the collective have to look forward to in the transit Lilith in Sagittarius? Now, who is Lilith? Let me know in the comments if you're familiar with her. To the ancient Assyrians, the first time she actually shows up is as a winged demoness called Lilith, which is sort of like a feminine term of like a wind spirit. They only sort of became maligned. Demons became maligned after Assyrian cosmologies lost ground. In Assyrian cosmologies, demons were, creatures of fire and wind, but they weren't all malevolent. So there it is. I love it when that happens. The Seven of Swords joins us again. So the question is, what does the collective have to look forward to in the transit Lilith in Sagittarius? First card out, we have the Four of Swords. Now, the Four of Swords is a card of rest and retreat. Not because you have lost a battle, but because resting and retreating before your next move is important in your next steps. And so there is a real theme of like thought, directed thought, and who we're aligning with, who we're choosing. And this is affirmed by the Seven of Cups that Sandra Tabatha Cicero in this deck calls seduction. And so it's that idea of who can we trust? Where am I investing my energy? Where should I be investing my energy? And what is giving me the right return? So again, there's like a deep introspection here in the middle of the chaos, in the middle of the rubble, in the middle of the question, where are we going? I see there's going to be a period of needed retreat, withdrawal, introspection into what we really want. And I also see the need for stealth, the need for not sharing your every thought and your every doubt with the world at all times, but actually kind of finding out that a lot of the things you did bank on previously may not actually have been the right thing to trust. Because I see here two warriors sneaking away from the battleground. And the Seven of Arrows really is a card. The Seven of Swords is a card. It is, I think, a very misunderstood card. It is a card of reassessing your allegiances when you realize that the battle you've been fighting is not in your favor. So it's trying to get out of a situation by cutting your losses as much as possible. And so we have 3 sevens in this reading, actually 4, because the Tower is the 16 card, also makes up a 7. Now, the 7 for me, as someone who's been studying and teaching the descent myth of the goddess Ishtar to the underworld, is a very significant number. And it is the number of the final stage of descent. So there's going to be some big shake-ups, huge shake-ups. Is this too many cards? No, I think we can take it. So I've got 4 cards out for the last row. The 10 of Cups, the Star. Oh, I like this. The Ace of Wands and the 3 of Wands, which is our extra card, which I'm going to accept. When we do all of this analyzing, assessing, and regrouping, finding ourselves amid the rubble, I think there's going to be big questions about what really fulfills us and how we're actually surrounded by great emotional fulfillment right now. That it is not something to seek. It is something to optimize within your natural state of affairs. And I think this level of hope and hopefulness is going to be the guiding light for the collective. That amidst all the destruction, divisions, allegiances that are, dropped at the last minute, some shocking realizations in our personal lives and globally, hope will be the guiding light. And here we see the Babylonian goddess Siduri with her beautiful cup offering and overflowing to the world. That actually there is a lot to be thankful for and grateful for, and that maybe our lens is important too. And look, a bit of a personal commentary here. I really am noticing that the culture of social media, which I might add was not a culture that I grew up with, and really only experienced in the last 5 years in a very pronounced way, is actually feeding and seeding a lot of mental manipulative thoughts that actually don't exist in the real world. Like when you think about how your street operates or your community or your everyday life, things are not as chaotic as social media would have you believe. Depending on where you live in the world, of course. This hopefulness from the Star, this focus on what really nourishes and fulfills us is going to inspire a new idea and is going to inspire a way forward that you never expected that will actually benefit everybody. Now, what that is, we don't know, because in the shadows we have the Moon card, which is the Assyrian god Sin. And I do want to show you that card. I'm going to put him right atop the Star. And I love having the Star and the Moon in the same reading. This is a very celestial energy and a celestial presence from the goddess herself. Give it some time. Give it probably a month's time. The Moon can literally mean a month. It could also mean dreams. It could also mean the subconscious. It means, not everything is clear. You don't have this action plan that you need to attend to with this new inspiration. What you might need to do, actually, and this sort of reflects the 4 of arrows that we had, was that perhaps some much needed dreaming is in order. And daydreaming. What kind of world would you create? What kind of things do nourish you? What kind of things does your community need for it to thrive? These are the real questions we need to ask, besides who is right, who is wrong, and being at loggerheads with each other, especially in matters of masculines versus feminines. And that's really a Lilith theme. If you want to study her mythology, I encourage you to check out, scholars who are way more versed than me. I am not a scholar, but that is one of her themes, is sort of women and men and masculine and feminine. And so instead of us strategizing, can we be inspired? Can we dream a new path forward together to rebuild the kinds of societies that really do nourish us? Like, I think for me, that is definitely the question at hand. But over to you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you agree? As always, I will leave you with my love and courage. Bye for now.